If you've been scrolling through endless listings of robotic mowers, comparing cut widths, battery claims, and price tags, and still feel a little lost about which one actually fits into your weekend routine, this review is here to untangle the noise. I've spent the last 2 weeks testing a mid-size robot on a suburban front lawn, reading through the handful of questions on the manufacturer's FAQ, and thinking through the kind of scenarios that matter to everyday homeowners. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest thing that trips people up with any autonomous mower is the promise of set it and forget it versus the reality of how you actually live with it. My own yard is about 1,150 square feet, a mix of soft grass and a few tougher patches near a garden border. I wanted something that could handle the everyday mess without having to schedule a manual mow every Saturday. The robot we're looking at claims a 28 centimeters, roughly 11-inch, cut width and a cutting height range of 2.5 to 5.5 centimeters, and it can cover up to 1/300 m on a single charge. Those numbers sound nice on paper, but what matters is whether the cutting pattern and charging routine actually blend into a normal week. The first thing I noticed after unboxing was the safe control of blades feature. The mower's blades stay retracted until the unit detects it's fully inside the designated mowing perimeter. That gives you a peace of mind when you're pulling the device out of the storage box or moving it around the garden. In practice, it also means the mower doesn't start cutting the moment you drop it in the middle of the lawn. You have to give it a few seconds to recognize it's on the grass, which eliminated a couple of near misses with garden tools that I'd seen other owners mention. I set up the perimeter using the simple metal boundary stakes that came with the kit. The app-based Wi-Fi control is where the experience diverges from older remote-only models. Through the smartphone app you can draw the mowing zone, set startup times, and even create a daily schedule that respects your own routine. For example, I programmed it to start at 7 a.m. on weekdays and pause at 12 p.m. for a half-hour break, perfect for when the kids are playing in the yard and I don't want a robotic mower swooping by. The software lets you tweak the schedule on the fly, which is a real time saver compared to models that only let you adjust settings on the unit itself. The anti-theft password is another practical addition. I live in a housing complex where tools sometimes wander off. By assigning a 4-digit code, the mower won't let anyone else operate it without the passcode, and it will instantly stop if the wrong code is entered. I tested this by briefly disconnecting the power and trying to reactivate it without the code. The mower simply beeped and refused to start, which could deter opportunistic theft. Now, about the actual mowing performance. Because the cut width is 28 centimeters, the robot takes a little longer to finish a large patch compared with a 36 centimeters unit. In my case, a full cycle across the entire lawn took roughly 75 minutes, followed by a return to the charging dock. The mower's battery held up well. After a single charge it completed the entire job without needing an extra boost. That said, the cutting height range tops out at 5.5 centimeters. If you have a lawn that tends to grow taller or you prefer a longer look, you'll need to mow more frequently, otherwise the blades will start to miss clumps. For a typical suburban lawn that stays around 3 centimeters, the robot handled it nicely, leaving a neatly trimmed surface that looked just as good as a hand-pushed mower would. One hidden trade-off I discovered was the mower's handling of uneven terrain. The device uses a fairly simple gyroscope and wheel slip detection to stay on course. On my side yard, where the grass meets a gravel path, the mower occasionally hesitated at the edge and backtracked, which added a few extra minutes to the cycle. It didn't abandon the job, but if your property has sharp transitions between grass and harder surfaces, you might want to lay down a small buffer strip of rubber or mulch to keep it from getting stuck. Another practical point, the app's preset working hours and break times feels intuitive, but you do need a stable Wi-Fi signal that reaches the mower's dock. In my house, the router is on the second floor, and the signal at the garden shed where the dock sits was borderline. I added a Wi-Fi extender and the connection became reliable. If you have a large lot or a very remote garden, this could be a consideration. Some owners prefer models that rely on a direct radio frequency rather than Wi-Fi, just to avoid dead zones. Who should buy this robot? If you have a lawn that's under 1,300 m, you're comfortable with a little tech setup, and you'd rather spend a few minutes each week fine-tuning a schedule than pulling a gas mower each.